Drag racing fan, live Monday morning racer, yours truly, Lee Craft, between the slicks. Hey, right away, if you would please, get out your cell phone, or if you're watching it on a device such as a PC, wherever you're watching from, hit the share button, hit the like button, and let folks know that Between the Slicks is live. Let folks know that Between the Slicks is live. So, we seem to be having some technical difficulties on the Facebook side of things, it looks like. If you're watching from Facebook, let me know, chime in, and see if we can get that worked out or not, and continue on. So, put that in for me if you are watching. If you're just watching on YouTube, let me know as well, because I'm just getting word that there seems to be some technical difficulties concerning streaming to the Facebook page here for Between the Slicks. First time that's happened. Have had technical difficulties before, but not with Facebook. And we are going through here in North Carolina the remnants of the tropical storm. It is sweeping through. So no telling what might happen, might transpire. I think we've got a great show tonight. Nonetheless, the show will have on as our guest Quain Stott. Quain Stott will be on, the founder, director, the lead man of the Southeast Gasser Association. He will be on later tonight in just a few moments. Before we do get to Quain, though, and him on tonight, let's talk drag racing. What is something in the world of drag racing that you would like to talk about? What are things that you would like to express? There has been some fascinating news, in my opinion, in the world of drag racing here recently, and a lot that I believe we've got to look forward to. And interestingly, in the world of drag racing, as we'll be discussing in a few moments, we're discussing Southeast Gasser Association tonight and several other points that I'm going to bring up before we bring Quain on concerning and in the world of drag racing. Very interestingly, it's about the past and even the future, kind of hearkening back to the past. So drag racing right now is making and having a interesting twist at the moment, and I think there's a lot to talk about with the world of drag racing for sure. Well, folks, we are having technical difficulties on the Facebook side of things. Let me try to get that going and see what is happening there. I'm being told that it is okay and that it should be streaming, but it's not. We're having some type of technical difficulty, and I am sorry for that. Not sure what is going on the Facebook side of things. So I'm sorry for that. Try to get it going live elsewhere. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on Twitter. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to take a quick break and try to get things resolved on Facebook so that we can have that audience. Not sure what is happening with the broadcast over there on Facebook. Never had this issue happen before with Streamyard. Usually it's very reliable and there's no issues whatsoever like this. So if wherever you're watching from, please chime in. Maybe some of you are seeing it actually on the Facebook side of things on the Monday Morning Racer platform. Please let me know that is happening and that is occurring. Let me very quickly take a break. I want to try to resolve that and get Facebook going so we can have that side of the audience as well, as I know a lot of viewers watch on Facebook. Between the Slicks live. So very quickly, hang with me. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we will dive into talking about some drag racing, whether I can get it worked out or not concerning Facebook. Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. Yeah, guys, sorry, the Facebook stream is not working, and I will try to get that shared so folks know, hey, watch it on YouTube, because right now it's not operating, not going. First time that's happened for me with Streamyard. Either way, let's get into it. Dive into talking about some drag racing tonight. Thank you all for those of you that are watching. We'll have Quain on in just a few moments. Hey, the IHRA, they have a Hall of Fame, and they have announced over the several past weeks who their 2021 inductees are going to be. And they just announced today, this came out over the social media feeds for the IHRA maybe 2-3 hours ago. Ricky Smith gets the call to the hall for the IHRA. He will be part of the 2021 class in the IHRA. Ricky Smith, what can you say? Tricky Ricky Smith definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, deserves to be in any Hall of Fame that is dealing with drag racing. What a career he has had. So many firsts. And looking just at the IHRA, Ricky Smith has 5 IHRA championships, 33 national event wins. This part, being IHRA, fits in a career that spans 40 plus years in drag racing. And mind you, 40 plus years in drag racing, he, well, is still out there doing it, ladies and gentlemen. He is still out there to this very day getting it done. Amazing what he is still doing and accomplishing out there in the world of drag racing. Here he is, still in the car, getting it done. And when I say getting it done, he is a threat to win each and every weekend. Whether it was in one of those old motorcraft cars or if it is in his Pro Mod Chevrolet Camaro that he is in currently. No matter what, he is a threat to win each and every time he shows up to the drag strip. So congratulations to Ricky Smith. And I'm sure at the news of such a thing, of him being inducted into the IHRA Hall of Fame, you know as well as I do that Ricky can very easily shed a tear. I'm sure that he did so, and it's definitely deserving. So, folks, let's see what's going on tonight. Deuces Wild says, Quain, a friend of mine has your old Lee Boy Corvette in his garage. It is working now. Oh, that's cool to hear, man. Cool to hear. Cool to hear. And Deuces Wild also chimes in and says, I think it is well deserved. I completely agree. I believe that it is well deserved. Folks, I want you to know I am paying attention, but I'm just trying to, for the Facebook audience, to let them know, come watch on YouTube, so that they can join in on the show for whatever reason, having issues with the Facebook live stream of the show. But thank you all for joining in on YouTube and watching. Just a few moments, we'll have Quain Stott on. Continuing on the old school way of doing things and recognition, well, Rockingham Dragway, they have, over the years, they've been a part of the IHRA. They've been a part of the NHRA. They've been part of some of the most historical moments in drag racing. If I'm not mistaken, the Madman Frankie Taylor holds the record for the quickest Pro Mod 8th mile pass so far that has ever occurred, and it happened at a PDRA event in Pro Extreme at Rockingham. Well, Rockingham has, over the years, set themselves up to be one of the premier places for no prep events, and doing it back of the track. They have a successful program called Dig or Die. And the successful program, Dig or Die, they race several times a year. And coming up, they have their Summer Heat edition. And I think this is fabulous. It's cool. It's wonderful. The photo on the screen is if it's not come up already, it will be. The photo on the screen is a gunmetal Wally. Now, this gunmetal Wally, it is the first ever gunmetal Wally. You can see there, NHRA, Speed for All, Rockingham Dragway, Dig or Die, $100,000 at the Rock, July. It's coming up in 2 weeks. Well, the NHRA, recognizing the no prep guys and the work that's been put in by Rockingham and those promoters, I think that is cool. And when you look at the no prep scene, it harkens back to an old day and time in drag racing. The tracks, well, they're going to the back of the track. There's nothing back there. There's no rubber. There's no glue. There's no adhesion. And you've got guys taking something out of junkyards, throwing turbos on them, literally hot rodding, and seeing how fast they can go and who can beat who to the line first. If that's not drag racing, then I don't know what is. Sure, I've got some issues with arm drops and flashlight starts, and I don't know why they just don't set up a tree and do green flash, things of that nature. Nonetheless, I've been to no prep events. It is great drag racing, and it's fascinating to me. Here's the NHRA saying, we recognize what you're doing, and we want to acknowledge it. So yeah, folks, couple of weeks, Rockingham Dragway. Check out the Dig or Die days there at Rockingham Dragway and catch some great drag racing action with the no prep scene. Moving on tonight, and excuse me, I'm just trying to type and let folks know on the Facebook side that we are having an issue with the stream. Continuing with this theme, moving towards having Quain Stott on, things that are old school, but yet happening right now today. Had John Montecalvo on the show maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and John shared that, hey, drag racing is coming back to Long Island for the first time in 17 years. Well, at least the legal variety and not just on the streets. Culverton Executive Airpark. I want to bring a photo up. It's in Suffolk County, I believe, there on Long Island. It is going to be, in fact, a NHRA sanctioned track, Division 1. That was announced today. And Long Island, later on this year, will have drag racing back for the people who live on Long Island. And I can tell you that has been a long time coming. John Montecalvo, a IHRA and PDRA champion in Mountain Motor Pro Stock, he explained it this way. When you look at the lay of the land for those on Long Island, roughly 7 million people live on Long Island, and there is no drag strip. No drag strip for 7 million people. With that said, allow me to put in perspective, I think of South Carolina. There is roughly, last time I checked, 4.5 million people. And I have to use like both hands to count all the drag strips around South Carolina, North Carolina. I mean, if you just started adding up in the South what it takes to get to 7 million people, the drag strips that are around small, major, big, nice, not nice, nonetheless, where people go drag racing, it's dotted all over. And Long Island for 17 years has not had a place to race for 7 million people. That is staggering. That's outstanding and hard work put in by John Montecalvo and others. And look, how you can't get more old school in the modern day than taking the drags to the airstrip. I mean, talk about hearkening back to how it all began. NHRA Safety Safari, going around and going to airstrips and putting out the timing system and making sure things are safe and there's some rules in place, and going drag racing. And it's like Brett Kepner puts it this way. The history of commercial aviation and military aviation is directly connected to drag racing. Because the Army, Air Corps, Air Force, when all that stuff gets done in World War II, you've got all these airstrips. Like, what do we do with them? And a lot of them were just turned over for no more than $1 or some insanely low fee to local municipalities or private people. And individuals were like, well, hey, let's not do it on the street. Let's not do it on some dirt road. Let's go to the old abandoned airstrip and do it that way. And a lot of even our major drag strips today have some type of history going back to when they were an airstrip. I think that is stellar. That is awesome to see. Well, with Ricky Smith, the acknowledgement of his career being inducted into the IHRA Hall of Fame. Rockingham Dragway with its dig or dies, that kind of going back to the early hot rodding scene, but right here in our day and time, and doing drag racing heads up with no prep, no fancy equipment, just good old ingenuity and who's got the best car to get down the track. Not always the fastest. And then Culverton Executive Airpark announcing today they're going to be an NHRA Division I track. That's good news in the world of drag racing. Right before we bring Quain on, we'll bring him on in just a few minutes. Folks, another form of good news, Texas Motorplex, the house that Billy built. Wow. They have announced that their Fall Nationals program, that the capstone will be the Fall National NHRA event. Leading up to it, total of 9 days, including the national event, they are going to have business development meetings in Waxahachie community right there near the track. They're going to have pub crawls. They're going to have barbecue cook-offs. They're going to have car shows. They're going to be doing things that a national event has never seen. That is what was expressed by Andy Carter, the general manager of the Texas Motorplex, on the Competition Plus Power Hour Tuesday night. I just want to say this. Work it out. Plan to be in Texas in October for the Fall Nationals. It sounds like Billy Meyer and his group at the Texas Motorplex, they're about to step it up once again in the world of drag racing. And mind you, it will in essence be a revamped Texas Motorplex due to being hit so hard during the winter storm. They have had to go into full-blown renovations there at the Plex. So basically, we're going to be looking at a fresh facility indoors with a brand new way of attracting people to this spectacular motorsports event. And it's all around drag racing. And I think that is definitely a good thing. Well, folks, we're going to take a break right now, and we will bring in Quain Stott, director, founder of the Southeast Gasser Association, kind of get that mid-season report from him, and we'll take questions from you as well and enjoy the conversation, the chat on drag racing. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean.
Hey, Lee.
Hey, Quain. Well, I don't know if a break actually ever came up. Sorry, viewers. I'm having technical difficulties. It did? All right. I never saw it. I don't know.
Soap advertisement for the soap come up.
There we go. Yeah.
I really hate we lost our Facebook audience. That's usually probably our biggest audience. I did put a link on my page letting them know to come to YouTube. But whether they've seen it or not, I don't know.
I've never had that issue with Streamyard before, but I do know going through the tropical storm, I'm not shocked that something went awry. But at least, hey, we can hear you pretty clear right now. And again, Quain, thank you for your time, for being on. And well, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sega events already this year, spanning from Florida, North Carolina, Alabama, Kentucky, and y'all just wrapped up in, what is it, Moxville, North Carolina, there at Farmington?
Yep. First time we ever went there with that. I've been there 1,000 times testing the Pro Mod and doing Pro Mod races. That's the first time we ever had the gassers there, and it really went off good.
Man, glad to hear that. I know there were folks chiming in as we mentioned that there was going to be Sega drag racing in the area on the Competition Plus Power Hour to check it out. That folks said, like, that's just a great fit for Sega to go to Farmington. So overall, what did you think of the event? How did it pull off? And are there plans to be back there in 2022?
The event went perfect. We are definitely going back. I don't think I've ever worked with a better group of people as I have there at the racetrack. The track operators can make it rough on me sometime, and Sandy and all the group there made it was just a perfect race. Very little downtime. And the sad thing about this whole deal is we're having to move to bigger places like Farmington. Farmington seats probably 3,000 or 4,000 people. And we're just, it's sad to say, but we're outgrowing the small tracks. It's a parking issue. We don't have room to park and don't have room for fans. And, that's a good problem to have, but we don't want to grow to that point. We're trying, believe it or not, I'm trying to keep this thing calmed down. I'm probably the only promoter that'll say I'm trying to stop growth because we don't want to outgrow the little tracks. That's where we want to stay.
Well, Quain, I appreciate that desire to stay in small tracks and, give them a great show. The small tracks, they have the backbone of any motorsports operation and definitely drag racing. So
we're just afraid the big tracks will ruin our show. The show won't look like a 60s drag race at, Bristol or somewhere big like that. And, I guess we'll have to try it at some point and see if we keep growing because, we ain't nothing else we can do because we sure don't want to turn spectators away at the gate.
Right. You don't want to do that. That's another ticket being bought and that's someone else enjoying a day at the drag races with your brand of drag racing that I like to say is drag racing reenactment in the real day under great competition standards.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So, speaking of a big track, though, you all were able to get some exposure at the last Southern Nationals with some Southern Gassers displayed and running on the track.
Right. We had two of our exhibition cars, the AFX. They weren't gassers, but we had two AFX cars there, Rocky Platt, and I think Todd. No, let's see, Rocky and his cousin went there, Alan, and did a exhibition for that. So yeah, that helped out a lot, and we sure appreciate Rocky and them doing that. And and appreciate NHRA doing it. You know, we've actually been invited twice to Bristol with our show, but we turned it down. NHRA invited us to that, but because we just don't think it would help us, or well, it would probably help us, but we just don't think it would present us like we want to be presented. But with Rocky and them taking the two cars and just doing a match race, I think that went over real well.
I think it did. It fit right in with what the NHRA and the people at Atlanta Dragway were trying to do, because everything seemed to be represented. You had those representing the Southeast Gasser Association. You had the Nostalgia Pro Stock guys, and they've got a whole entire range of Pro Stock cars,
right,
from the earliest days into the 80s and then right into the modern drag cars. So for the last Southern Nationals, it was a good event. And, you know, bringing that up while I've got you here, Atlanta Dragway, your thoughts on it and us having it go off the drag racing scene, and what kind of impact do you think that's going to have into the Southeast?
It's definitely sad that we're losing drag strips to the growth of America, I guess we'll call it. So, and then losing Atlanta is really tough because that drag strip's been there since I was a little kid. And but you know, it's just going to happen. We just got to somehow figure out how to get more drag strips built, or at least keep the ones running this year. And that's one of the reasons I get patted on the back all the time from people telling me that we're saving the drag strips, because our show brings in a lot of money to the little mom and pop tracks. When they have our show, I've had a lot of tracks tell me my show will pay their bills most of the year. So, you know, hopefully more organizations like Southeast Gassers will come along to help these tracks. These organizations has got to start focusing on spectators. That's something that seems to have been gotten lost in the drag racing world. They're just interested in getting car count so they can charge an entry fee to cars. They need to be focusing on having a show that'll draw spectators. That's what puts money in the bank for these tracks and keeps them open.
I agree. You know, the fan experience is paramount. I was watching some old IHRA footage, and Brett Kepner was interviewing Bill Bader, not Bill Bader Jr., but Bill Bader Sr. Yeah. And he expressed, hey, you know, I don't always come through the employee gate. I come through the fan gate sometimes. And, you know, I actually go over there and use the public phone, and I walk the pits, and I try to stand in line at my own concessions and see what the experience is. And there has been somewhere along the way, that mentality and that idea has been lost, that if you don't have any fans showing up, the competitors are not where you get your money from.
No, well, for some reason, drag racing has turned into that, and that's what they're thriving on now is the back gate to bring in the money, and that's why you go to a lot of tracks and the sound system's in shambles, the bleachers are in shambles, and I'll ask the track operators, I say, why don't y'all fix the bleachers? They say, well, we don't use them anymore. And you know, then we come in and it's like, you know, people's complaining about it. Well, then at that point they can start fixing the bleachers up. But then again, it's still only one show a year they're using them, because it's, for whatever reason, this has got crossed up, and the promoters are just promoting car count and not. You know, I was asked by a magazine interview here the other day how I measure success, and I said I measure success by how many spectators come through the gate, not by how many cars I have. We got plenty of cars. We're starting to have 5 rounds now. So we're not looking for more cars. We're looking for quality cars to put on a good show to bring spectators through the gate.
Well, I definitely think that's the formula. Focus on the show, make sure the spectators are happy. And, you know, it's interesting. Your brand of drag racing, it is nostalgia drag racing. You've got just the win lot. There's no ETs, no mile per hour shown. And even the detractors a lot of times seem to be won over by that. And it's because you're putting on a good show. And look,
Yeah.
I think this is the first time I've had you on this show since I was at Shadyside last year. Look, kudos to you and your team. You came up, you said, hey, we've got 10 to 15 minutes of track prep. And y'all took that time to have a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of fan interaction. And it was just 10 to 15 minutes. It was what you said it was. And the show, other than that, didn't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to do that. It ends up the semifinals. We always have a little bit of downtime, and if you got 1,000 cars, you still only got 4 left in the semifinals. And it makes you got to have cool down time. Well, the fans are telling me now that they are glad for the 15 or 20-minute intermission because they didn't want to leave their seat all day to go get something to eat or go to the bathroom. So they're like, and you'll see it's funny when we call for a 15-minute intermission, you'll see the bleachers empty. And then about 15 minutes later, they fill back up because everybody sat there scared to move because they didn't want to lose their seat. And so it's there again. That's our goal, is to fill the bleachers everywhere we go. And that attracts sponsors. That's what gets the sponsors to noticing you, because that's you can have 300 race cars. That's 300 people buying a sponsor's product. We want 3,000 spectators buying a sponsor's product. Not we only have 80 race cars, but we have 3,000 spectators on average. So that's what the sponsors are starting to see, and the reason we're starting to get a lot of calls from them.
So I definitely do want to get back in particular on this season, but before we go that route, what do you think room-wise in drag racing promotions is out there for someone to take your formula and put it to a different type of drag car, maybe of a different era, and maybe going to different tracks? Do you think there's plenty of room for that and it could be done?
I think there's room for it. The problem is none of the promoters want to go to the trouble to do a heads-up first and finish line race because the rules package is so extremely difficult. We now have 11 employees at the race, 11 paid employees. And if we would just simply turn this into a bracket format, wouldn't have to be nobody there but me. But when you got to start, we got over $14,000 in a set of scales that we built. And most venues don't bother weighing the cars because they don't run them heads up first finish line wins. But I wanted to do, when I started this, my original intention was I wanted to do a top fuel funny car deal, 70s to say 75, 1970 to 75. But it was going to be too expensive. To do it right, they have to be on nitro. And to keep them air correct, they would be dangerous. And they would just go too fast to run at these little mom and pop tracks. So this Nostalgia Pro Stock deal could go if done correctly. They're gonna have to pick an era though. They're gonna have to pick about a 3-year era and stick with it, because that's the only way. You can't have a 69 or 70 Camaro out there with a narrowed rear end, because those 70 Camaros in Pro Stock didn't have narrowed rear ends. So I think if they'll pick an era, like a 3-year era or something, that would work. Our Super Stock class is taking off. Really, really good. Matter of fact, it's one of our major problems right now. It's taking off too good. And that's a good class somebody could get going. Something to that effect, like maybe a modified eliminator deal or something. So yeah, there's room out there, Lee. It's just nobody wants to go to the trouble. There've been several tried to copy our deal, and they went in and simplified the rules, and it won't work if you simplify the rules. As strict as they are and as hard as it is for people to understand, they have to be rules for it to work, and they have to be enforced.
Yeah, I love what you all do have going on with Superstock. I thought that was one of the most intriguing classes that you really have got, and the competition was great. And look, I love A-Gas, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, man, this Superstock class you've got going
is really taken
cool.
off, and we thought it was going to be more of a little guy class. But like everything else in drag racing, it's got out of hand. A 7-inch tire, or spec tire that Hoosier built, is 7 inches wide. And we got very, very strict cylinder head rules. And the cars have to be pretty much stock suspension. And the record just got moved to a 670. That moved 1400s. But the class is only 2 years old, so when you got a new class and all that, the records are always, it's always a moving target. And but we got people screaming like, "Oh my God, what are you going to do?" Well, that's where we kind of figured they'd be running. Just everybody else needs to get to work and catch up to this guy because he sure set the bar. And I hated to see it happen that quick. I was hoping it would happen more gradual. But boy, this guy Ron Allison come in from Tennessee, and he's run. I guess this year, I think he might have run one race last year. He's done set that thing on fire, and he's the target now for sure.
All right. Well, hey, y'all have got to keep ducking and dodging and trying to, let me ask this. How does it feel being on the other side of that fence now as the promoter? Because, for many years you were the guy, like, hey, whoa, I mean, come on,
I was the guy causing the problems for 19 years. Yeah. That's one of the things I tell people. They ask me, how was I able to build such a good rules package? I said, because I worked for 19 years on the other side trying to figure out how to cheat the rules. So now, I know all the tricks. I know all the stuff people try to do because that used to be me trying to do it. And yeah, it's kind of funny. I called Mike Baker. He's a tech director of IHRA and was for many, many years. About 3 years into this deal, this Southeast Gasser deal, I called Mike and I said, Mike, I just want to apologize to you. And he said, what are you apologizing to me for? I said, all the hell I caused you for. He said, yeah, you find out now it's not as easy as it looked. And I said, for sure. But now I have people telling me that I'm doing it wrong, and so I have a lot of respect. I look back and have a lot of respect for them and for the trouble I caused them. I want to apologize.
Folks, there you got it. Quain Stott record apologizing for all those gray areas. Well, Quain, look, talk to me. What has been some exciting, unique moments so far this year in 2021 with the season kicking off? Your 5 races in. What are some moments that stand out in the competition and going to the races that you've been to?
I don't know. We're proud of the fact, and I don't know if this is something that stands out to everybody, but it makes me really proud to the fact that last year and so far this year, we have never had the same competitor win over 2 races in a row. So you're not seeing any dominance by any certain team, any certain combination. And there's not been any teams in the gas classes to win over 2 races in a row. We have never had 2 back-to-back world champions. We've had some 2-time world champions, but nobody's ever done it 2 times in a row. And it don't look like it's going to happen again this year, unless somebody makes a big move. So it makes me proud that there's not any dominance. It means our rules package is working really well because nobody's able to dominate. As far as standout, Lee, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. There's been a lot of stuff that's been happening. I put Randy Edmonds on as tech director, and I think that's probably the best move I ever made. Because it was just getting to be too much on me, and Randy's took a lot of load off of me, along with all my employees. It's unbelievable. I've got a group that's second to none, and the live feed deal is a standout. We started live feed this year, and we wanted to do it in house like we do everything else. So therefore, there's a big learning curve. I turned it over to my brother Mitch. Stephen used to do the live feed for free, and he would run up and try to do it when he had time because he's selling his T-shirts. Keep Southeast Gasser gear in mind. Stephen Smith, that's what pays his bills, is selling these shirts. But he would run up and do the live feed with his phone, and he would only get to do a little bit at each race. And people was complaining, oh, it's buffing, you don't have a good signal, or, I wish Stephen could have a finish line thing, or how come Stephen don't do the whole race? And it was just a constant complaint of the little things that they wanted added to this. So over the winter, we got with Speed Sport, and we said, okay, let's fix these problems. So I spent $20-some thousand on camera equipment and all this stuff over the winter. I put a Mitch took it over and I put employees in place. I think we got 4 or 5 employees on the video thing. It's not counting the 11 other I said I had. And so we got 5 employees, I think, running the show for the live feed. So that's about $2,000 a race that I'm spending on top of the $20,000 I bought in equipment. And now guess what? People's complaining because we charge $20 to watch it. We fixed all the problems they was complaining about, but now it's $20 what? So, what gives? How do I win? No matter what I do, it seems like somebody's griping about it. But we're proud of the live feed. We're not completely ready to start promoting it yet because we're going through a learning curve, and we know you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So we hadn't promoted it really, really heavy yet because we're still not ready to, but it's going to get better. We're going to start doing pit interviews. More money's got to be spent, more camera stuff, but we're going to get there. So anybody's been watching the live feed, we appreciate you supporting us, and I will promise you it is going to get better.
Well, that's good to hear, and appreciate y'all stepping up and saying, hey, we are going to try to get this to more fans and in their living room, on their PC, on their phone, and it be a high quality program. And man, don't let the detractors, get to you. I mean, I have people complain about me wearing shades, and I keep plugging right along. It's amazing what people will sink their teeth into and say, oh, I don't like this, and I'm not supporting this because of this particular thing, when overall it may be a good promotion or a service. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. As the old saying is.
Lee, I've decided that people complain about anything. I had a guy complain the other day that he wasn't going to watch our YouTube videos anymore because we had prayer at the end. Well, I got a word for people like that. Don't watch them. Take your happy self somewhere else, because we're going to do prayer at the end, and we're going to do things the way we're going to do it. And we play the national anthem before the race, and I expect everybody there, if their health is good, to stand. If they don't, we'll lead them out the gate. And I make it plain. I walk out there and say that before we play it. I said, if you can't stand for the national anthem, you will give you your money back unless it's a health issue. But it seems like people can just find all it, and I think it's jealousy. I honestly do. I think they're hunting something to put you down and try to beat you up on. So I'm trying to learn to quit paying them any attention. It's still hard to do, though.
Right. I mean, I've had an individual that has even watched this very show and said, you know what, you do a great job. You've got good interviewing skills, but as long as you wear those shades, I'm not watching any longer. And I'm like, man, I thank you for the compliment, but you're not watching anymore. Have a nice day. I've created a persona, and
hey, I love it. It's your gimmick, and it's
right.
Good.
It got me noticed, and
that's right.
It's been able to further along and go down the road and doing this thing. And we all have things we're known for. Your group, they're known for wearing the white, just like they did back in the day, and things of that nature. You've got to say, hey, we're going to be this, we're going to do this, no matter what anybody says, and we're going to do it the way we intend to do it. And y'all have done that, and it's been successful.
We really haven't changed anything since we started 10 years ago. We haven't changed that. I know the rules have gotten a little stricter here and there because we've learned things, but we really haven't changed anything in the way we've done this thing. We just stuck with. There's been a couple of complaints about some things, and I said, no, that's what we did at our first ever race, and we're going to continue to do it. They said, you're forgetting. I said, no, we're not forgetting. We're sticking to what we've always done and what we always believed in. And we're not planning to change anything. I will say this, though. I do appreciate people that are supporters that come to me and say, hey, what do you think about doing this or that? Or, in our live feed, people complain about some of the things that's going on now, and they're nice about it. Hey, we listen. We like surveys. We like to hear what people want to see. People's always asking me why I don't show ETs and stuff. And I'm glad to explain that. I've explained it many times to people. And as soon as I do, they understand and say, you know what, that's a great idea. And all it is it keeps excitement. Our bleachers are still full in the finals. If you show the ET, they're going to have a pretty good clue that somebody's got a 10th on the field. And you stay and watch, he's going to win unless something happens. They don't have a
Right.
clue who's the fastest car. They don't have a clue who's going to win.
Right, they don't. And, I would argue right now in PDRA competition, with what Jim Halsey is doing, you look at the final round, it's like, man, Jim, unless there's something happens on the line, he's got this sewed up.
That's right. Yeah, but if you didn't show the times, nobody'd know that, and we'd all sit there in the finals to watch it. And
right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens with us. We started that program by not showing the times because, most mom and pop tracks in the 60s didn't have clocks, and they sure didn't have scoreboards. None of them had, even NHRA didn't have scoreboards. So that was our original plan. Then we realized what it was doing to people. The bleachers were staying full, and we started finding out why. And so now there's no way we'll change now unless down the road somewhere we need to add something different to the show. But right now, I think it's going to stay just like it is.
Well, look, Deuce's Law asked, where do we go to purchase the live feed? So where do people go to watch Sega action?
Southeastgasser.tv.
There you go, southeastgasser.tv.
Yep, southeastgasser.tv. And next year we'll have a deal where you can buy the whole year. We was going to do that this year, but we got it so screwed up. We don't know what we don't know what we're doing, but we do appreciate it, and it's not even coming close to paying the bills right now. So we're not making all this money everybody thinks we're making off of it. I wish we was. If I was making money everybody thought we was making, buddy, I tell you what, we'd all be celebrating.
I hear you on that, and I can certainly understand. Well, look, let's take each of the classes for a few moments and just talk to me about the points leader and what you see going on into the rest of the year. A-Gas, Gabriel Burrell in Southern Flyer. I've got him listed as the leader right now. Pretty tight top 5, though, in A-Gas. What do you think it's going to look like to the wire?
I think Kenneth Phillips is fixing to make a strong comeback, and Gabriel seems to have fell off pace a little, and Kenneth's really picked up. I think Kenneth's got his act together. Leslie Horn, Leslie still hadn't shined like I think he's going to. I know Leslie is probably one of the most dedicated racers out there, so I think Leslie's coming. I'm missing a few others. Rod Bergner. He's so many of them. I can't name them all. But right now, I got to tell a funny story about Gabriel though. Gabriel struggled with that Ford deal for 5 or 6 years, and everybody was laughing at him and telling him, "Why don't you build a Chevrolet engine? Why do you fool with that stupid Ford? You ain't never gonna get that thing to run." Just laughed and joked. Well, he finally got that thing running thanks to John Causey. And now everybody's complaining that I need to do something with that Ford. You need to do something with that Ford. You need to slow it down. But it's just so funny to sit back and watch them. And I guess they forgot about complaining or laughing at him. And them same ones that was laughing at him is now complaining, telling me that we need to do something with that Ford. We need to slow that Ford down, or we need to take away something. And so it's cool. I like watching that, and I have to sit back and laugh myself. But Gabriel's not the fastest car. I don't think he's been #1 qualifier but 1 or 2 times. He's just been driving good, and he's making good runs. But like I say, I think Kenneth's fixing to be a problem for him. Kenneth's really come on strong the last race.
Well, as well as I do, in drag racing, you don't always have to be the quickest car. Sometimes if you're the quickest driver behind the wheel, that's going to get you round wins. And, just like another John Causey counterpart, Johnny Placino, arguably last year when he won his championship in PDRA, he didn't have the quickest car, but he was cutting lights better than everybody else, and he got himself a championship. Well,
I tell you something else too, Lee, is these A-Gas cars, especially, and the B-Gas is this way too. They are so temperamental. The A-Gas cars remind me of the early Pro Mods because we got them there, the small tire they're having to run. They got to run a clutch assisted 4-speed. They got to run old school suspension. They got a height rule, so the cars are just totally screwed up. A short wheelie bar. It's getting to be. It's not a horsepower race as much as it is a how can you get down a racetrack race. You'll see the fastest car lose because he knocked the tires off or got out there in second gear and went toward the center line. And of course, fans love that. that's another thing that our little gimmicks working is drawing, because the cars are, you never know what's going to happen. It's not a cookie cutter show, that's for sure.
All right, B-Gas, Ken Rainwater. What a great last name, by the way. In Renegade, he's leading the points. Talk to me about the competition there.
Well, do you know Ken's background?
I do not, no.
Ken Rainwater was the first ever guy to go in the 390s with a 10.5 tire car. And guess who his competition was? Billy Glidden. So Ken beat Billy Glidden to the 3-second zone in a 10.5 car. So Ken's got plenty of credentials. He came over here. He quit racing for several years, I think. I may be getting this wrong. But we fully expected to see Ken do what he's doing whenever he signed up. I said, oh, Lord, these boys is in trouble. But you still got a bunch of tough racers coming in behind him. Last year's champion, TJ York, you can't count TJ out. He's working hard and probably one of the hardest workers out there. So the big guy, Wayne Swafford, I think Wayne Swafford would probably be right there with Ken, but Wayne's dad's been sick and he's had to miss a couple races just do family stuff. And so, all the respect in the world, hats off to Wayne for that. But he had to miss, I think, 2 races this year because of taking care of his dad, having to stay home and do that. So, or Wayne would definitely be in the hunt for this deal. So the B-Gas is going to go down to the wire, I think. I think Ken's going to have some competition.
So Ken in his Renegade, is it? I'm not familiar with his car.
That's the car that Doug Dobbins ran. I think Doug sold that car to Ken last year, but the car didn't even race last year. That car actually won a championship in, I forget, 2017 maybe or 16 when Doug had it. Now Ken's totally redone the car because it had gotten outdated and whatnot, and so Ken's took it to the next level. A car that would win 3 years ago won't even hardly get in the top 10 now. So these things are there again. It's a moving target. But Ken, I don't know what Ken drove when he done the 10.5 deal. I have no idea. I don't even know if that was the name of it. But I remember he was a bad dude, and he's showing his professionalism again. Him and his whole team. You got a very professional team.
Anybody beating out Billy Glidden to some point definitely
anything
is
exactly.
Yes,
that would be that's a feather in anybody's hat if you can come close to beating even running with a Glidden.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, C-Gas. If I looked at the point sheet right, you've got Tim Hall in Scalded Dog and Larry Floyd in Stud Muffin tied at the top spot right now.
I think that's right. I'm not sure. And that is such a, oh man, that class is so cool. I drove Cynthia's car at the last race, Alexis's car now, and I just can't. Nobody can imagine how fun those cars are. I never would have thought I could go that slow and have that much fun. But the car is hard to drive. I was nervous, but anyway, Tim Hall gets a lot of respect from me. Tim would have been more of a player last year, but he's in the National Guard and he had 2 different races. He had to miss like 2 races. Well, this year so far he's been able to make the races, and you see what he's doing. But what I respect about Tim is he built his own car, he builds his own engines. He's a school teacher at Abbeville High. This guy is not big money, and he's out there, and he's proven that you can do it with talent. And you got to have a little bit of money. You got to dedicate your life to it. But Tim is doing it with talent. And then you got Larry Floyd that's really, really, I expected Larry to win the championship last year. I know he was a big player. And so it's going to, those two's battling it out. It's really, I've been enjoying watching it because it's anybody's guess to who's going to win. Larry's usually got the faster car. Tim seems to be making more consistent runs, and so it's I can't wait myself. I'm enjoying watching it play out.
I definitely am going to pay a lot closer attention. People know on Between the Slicks and Competition Plus Power Hour, I'm a points guy. Like, I'm the guy that looks at points after even the first race.
Oh yeah,
because I think there's interesting things, because even though first runner up, I'm like, no, that's not always how it plays out. Because like if you picked up some points in qualifying, like the way the NHRA's got it worked out, for being low SET and all those type of things,
right.
You might be able to jump someone or tie someone. And to see your C-Gas class have the top tied, that's just cool. That is
it's cool. And Lee, I look at the points as the best car all year long. You can win a drag race and you can win one or two drag races, but to win a championship, you had the best car all year long, and that says a lot. And I'm loving seeing these guys take pride in that, because to say you've got the best Southeast Gasser Association car all year long in any class is a big statement.
That it is. So, super stock. Right now, Mark Hackett in Mercury Poison, beautiful Mercury, is leading the points. But as you mentioned earlier, you got another competitor that looks like it's going to go down and be a fight.
Mark's probably going to win the championship because he got such a jump on everybody. And unless something happens and Mark really falls off pace bad, I think he's going to be hard to catch. But we got new people coming in, like Steve McCrary. Steve McCrary come to Farmington, his first race. Steve, an old superstock racer from IHRA back in the early 70s. This guy knows what's going on. He knows how to make it happen, and he showed it at this race. I think he went to semifinals at his first ever race. And then Ron Allison, like I said, he's tough. I feel bad because I know I'm leaving out names. I should have had a list in front of me, but Mark's got it covered. I shouldn't say he's got it covered. Mark's gonna be hard to catch, but I think the late season charge of some of these guys he's gonna hear footsteps for sure.
Well, Mark is definitely hoping he doesn't have a Butch Leal kind of start and into the end, and he can continue and hang on and get the championship. Any other divisions? I've been to a couple of races, or at least I've been to one, and I know y'all have talked about the 6-cylinder class, and what about the factory experimental guys? Any other expansion? Or are you like, oh, whoa, we got enough as it is?
We're not going to add anything no time soon. We would like to see the AFX class pick up. We got 4 cars now. On average, we only have 3, and I tell them I won't even put them in the winner's circle unless there's 4 cars there. They need to have 4 cars to win a race. But we have sometimes done that, let them, because it is such a good show they put on. And this Todd Wimberly, this new guy, we ain't really new. He raced last year, but boy, he's really making waves over there. He's making it hard on the Platts. I think Todd's won the last 2. Our 6-cylinder class, H-Gas, just can't seem to get it going. I don't know what the problem is. We do have 5 or 6 cars slated to be built, so hopefully that's going to pick up next year. I've been building a wheel stander here in the shop just as an exhibition to take up that downtime in the semifinals, because I went out going to hire one to come to our shows, and heck, they're all modernized up. And we can't have all our cars perfect and then have the wheel standard come out for an exhibition. It's like I told somebody the other day. They said, "Why are you so picky about wheels and paint jobs and all that?" And I said, "Well, could you imagine a car pulling up to the starting line in a reenactment of a '60s drag race, and this car having the wrong wheels or the wrong wheelie bar on it? That would be like watching a Western movie on TV and an airplane flying over in the background. It just don't fit." And so that's why I'm so particular with it.
I don't blame you, Quain, and definitely if you're going to do what you're doing, look, the easiest way I can connect it is when I did American Revolutionary reenactments.
Yeah.
And the people who do reenactments, they're like, you need to have the right buttons. You need to have the right amount of buttons. And
Exactly.
you cannot just order your coat. No, you need to hand stitch that thing.
That's
It needs
right.
to be the right material. I mean, they
Mhm.
want reenactment, not just in formation, but in everything.
Exactly, and that's exactly that's what the approach we're trying to take. Everybody complains, not everybody, but I get complaints about having to have hand lettered cars. Well, yeah, from the stands, the vinyl lettering probably would look the same, but I want the cars to look the part in the pits also. When you walk up to them in the pits and look at it, like, hey, this thing's hand lettered. Hey, that's a plus. That's people notice it. A lot of people don't notice it, but we're after the ones that do notice it. That's the fans we're trying to impress.
So Deuces Wild, he mentions also, hey, thanks for having the backup girls. Definitely, they are
Yeah.
very popular in the
Oh, yeah.
Southeast Gasser
Yeah.
Association. What do the ladies think about getting the attention they do from time to time? How do they feel?
It is unbelievable what that has done. Now, it's what I'm going to tell you. When I tell you what this has done to help Southeast Gassers, I'm going somewhere you're not going to believe I'm going. But it's the girls have actually they brought a lot of fans in. That part we know, that's a given. Good looking women is always going to bring in spectators. Dressing in '60s part, that just adds to it. But what we are seeing is when you get the wives and girlfriends involved, it makes the guy's life so much easier. I had one guy, I won't call no names, but he said his wife complained and grumbled the whole time he's building the car about the money he was spending, the time he was spending on it. So she goes with him to the first race, and she's seen the girls out there, so she got involved and got out there and helped her guy back up. So the next race, she bought her a mini skirt and some go-go boots, and she's out there and started really getting more involved. And he said the third race, she said on the way home, said, "Honey, what do we got to do to borrow the money or whatever to get some more horsepower so we can start winning?" Now this lady's 6 months before was complaining about the money he was spending the time. So having the ladies be a part of this and get involved, it's making it better for everybody. It's helping me as a promoter draw in more spectators. It's helping the racers because their wives are involved now, and it's amazing. I there again, I don't know how this happened, but I've been very lucky and fortunate to put a group of people together like I have.
Well, there it is, gentlemen. Get the ladies involved backing up the car, and you solve all your problems.
It is. It does. If you get your wife, or well, that's what happened with Cynthia and I. She was with me 36 years, and our racing because she loved it as much as I did. And when I first started dating her, she didn't even know what a race was. She didn't know what car racing was. So yeah, get your wife involved, and they will make life much easier on you.
Well, Quain, look, thank you for coming on the show tonight. It's definitely been a joy for me, and I know folks are glad to hear from you on your thoughts of the 2021 Southeast Gasser Association season to this point and what we will see possibly in the future. Look, before I let you go, let you have the floor, say whatever you need or want to say to whomever on whatever at this moment.
Lee, I would like to take a second. I'm going to try to be really brief to give a shout out to all the people that supported me through Cynthia's death. We posted very little because I didn't want to wear it out, so I didn't do a lot on Facebook. But the few things I did post, we figured up the best we could figure, counting the shares and the post that when it went to our Southeast Gasser page, that we probably seen, I want to say 10,000 comments of people supporting me and supporting her family. And I want to apologize because there was no way I could answer them all. I had to just back up and say, hey, thanks everybody. So, but I do want everybody to know that I appreciate all the support. We're going to get through this, and we all miss her, but we'll keep racing in her name. And but just thanks again for all the support. And I want to apologize because there was no way I could answer all the comments, messages, and Facebooks and stuff like that. So appreciate everybody. And let's keep Southeast Gassers going, and we'll make this thing, 10. Hopefully, we make it another 10 years.
Quain, once again, thank you for the time, and I hope the rest of the 2021 season definitely brings a lot of joy to your heart instead of bellyache over everything that is ahead.
It has a little of both. It has the good. So far, the good outweighs the bad, and that's as long as good outweighs the bad, we'll keep going.
All right. Well, sir, thank you for your time. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate what you do to help us.
Thank you. Folks, Quain Stott, founder, director, head honcho over there at the Southeast Gasser Association. Definitely look at the rest of their season. You can find a post on their Facebook page. You can find it on the website. Just search Southeast Gassers. You can find it. You need to go to a Southeast Gasser Association race. It is spectacular. And I think it's something that big show, little show, bracket show, whatever show, they can learn a lot from what Quain and his group is doing. Thank you all for watching. We do this each and every Thursday night, talking to anyone and everyone from the world of drag racing. And when I say the world of drag racing, yes, drivers, yes, media personalities, yes, promoters like Quain Stott, yes, track owners, PDRA, NHRA, any other acronym you might think of, we talk to them right here. Be sure to subscribe. I do want to apologize for the Facebook stream. I've never had in 54 episodes, the 54th episode of Between the Slicks, it's amazing, had Streamyard have an issue with putting the live feed on Facebook. Try to have that worked out next week. Don't know who the guest is going to be, but we'll have a great guest, whoever it is. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and see what else the Monday Morning Racer offers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, each and every one of you, thank you for chiming in and letting me know about it being a great show. I appreciate that. To all of you, keep the pedal to the metal, and God bless.